Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And, here on Invisible Condition, I get it. We get it. Okay. But there are rough days. There are days that you don't want to get out of bed. Some days are harder than others, right? Dealing with some sort of medical condition you didn't plan for that nobody else sees. I get it. If you are having trouble with that and you are having a particularly rough day, just, you know what? Shoot me an email and just put hope in the subject line. Tell me whatever you want in the email, but just put hope in the subject line. I love talking to people. In case you haven't noticed, if you've been watching for the last 3 years on this show, in case you weren't sure, I love talking to people. And so I'd love to help you if at all possible. So use that email and shoot me a message. So also, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff today, and we'll be acknowledging some sponsors and all that stuff. But I also want to make sure that I tell everybody out there, this is new actually for season 7. You can actually watch us on LinkedIn now. So Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, NE360 and Apple TV and all the other different places as well. But we added LinkedIn for this season, so pretty cool. Pretty cool. So wherever you're watching from, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And today is another exciting episode with Michelle Cooling. So I'm going to bring her on right now because I don't want to waste any time. I feel like we always seem to run out of time with what we're talking about. So
even though we talk as fast as we can,
that we are definitely not doing that today. So Good morning, Michelle. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. I said we talk as fast as we can, and we still run out of time.
I know, seriously. I feel like we could put ourselves on double speed, right? Like when you're on like Audible or whatever, and you can listen to the book at the same. Yeah. We could put ourselves on 2 times the speed, and we still wouldn't fit it all in.
It's true. We'll just have to keep doing more episodes.
Anyway, well, let's not mess around here. What are we talking about? And for those that maybe have never seen you before. Who are you and what are we talking about today?
Yeah, I think we are talking about today the concept of what we focus on, we become. So it's kind of like, we're all familiar probably by now with the phrase, you are what you eat. So since I always like to go against the grain, maybe I'll say you're not what you eat. Or what you focus on. we'll start a debate here today.
There you go.
For those who are new, I'm Michelle Cooling. Some of you may have seen my past videos where I was going by the Hebrew pronunciation of my name, Michal. It's the same. My mom picked it from the Bible. So for a while I wanted to go by the Hebrew way to say it. And now I want to go by the English way to say it that was my birth pronunciation, actually.
Sure.
So I have historically been teaching about health and wellness for probably 16 years. I went through my own journey, like many people in the healing community, of just not having answers. Doctors didn't know what was wrong. It got so bad I was actually bedridden for a couple years. It was very serious, very scary. I found out how to advocate for myself and to learn that doctors, even though they say they run all these tests, they really don't. And they're looking at tests through a very narrow and limited view, which is like, can they diagnose you with a disease or not? And if you don't fit their neat little disease box, even if you're right on the cusp of it, they'll tell you you're normal. And so that was the case with me, even though I did have markers that could have been diagnosable. They still didn't, because even those were considered benign and there weren't meds or treatment in the US, even though in other countries there's treatment protocols and there's lots of studies and research done. So there's just a lot of limits here. And so as I began realizing the limits of the conventional medical system, I wanted to explore other systems like holistic and natural and integrative and functional med. And I've tried so many things and studied many of them and become certified in a lot of them. And I started a business to help people that were still sick and suffering, whether that was with physical ailments like MS or fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, or Lyme's disease, or whatever, digestive disorders, you name it, to mental illnesses like bipolar, anxiety, lots of anxiety, depression, PTSD,
Hmm.
and also behavioral illnesses. So there's a lot of people that would, chronically struggle with eating disorders or addictions or certain behavioral problems, finances or pornography or whatever. Um, and then it started developing into relational
Mm.
challenges because people couldn't navigate relationships with their children, with their spouses, with their parents in a healthy way because of trauma, because of triggers, because of whatever dysregulation in their nervous system, their inability to cope with emotions and know how to communicate properly. So it's like the healing work, just kind of by the nature of it, started expanding into these different areas of life because we recognized that a nervous system that's in fight or flight survival mode and constantly triggered and in a dysregulated state is actually why the body isn't healing. And we had, physical medical devices that would monitor heart rate variability and like all of these things and
Hmm.
show us where somebody was operating in their nervous system. And every single person that had a chronic issue was in a survival state. Like we did this for years, so it was obvious. There it was 100% of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a phenomenon we knew to expect. And it's true. Most of the world lives in a survival state,
Yep.
in a dysregulated state, and that affects how our brain perceives information, processes information. It affects our behavior because when you're in your reflex center, you're not in your response center. You're not thinking with a whole brain, from a mature place with your frontal lobe.
Right.
That shuts down. And so it affects everything from our experience of life, our emotional reality, to our physical health, to our relational ability to be secure and have a secure attached relationship.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know that sounds like a lot, but the core of it really ended up leading to what is going on with the nervous system and how do we shift our default mode as a human race, from being in survival 90 plus percent of the time, or 90 plus percent of the population, into
Hmm.
a state of regulated creativity, like maturity, emotional awareness, emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
all of that. How do we actually do that? So we're like trying to turn the Titanic of humanity around, like one little bit at a time, so that we can go in a different direction. And a lot of what we're teaching now are the life skills, the nervous system skills, the regulation skills, the consciousness skills, the perception skills, the Christ centered skills that we need to mature in our walk and to be a healthy human and to redefine what that even means. Because when we're in a survival state, we don't even, the way we view health, the way we view everything is affected by that. So we actually have to create an entire new context for living. And that's what we're doing, one conversation at a time.
That's right. And if anybody wants to know anything about specific things that we've talked about, there is no shortage of content. There's no shortage of content. Michelle, how long have we been? I'm trying to remember what season. So your first episode that you ever recorded with me was the last episode of season two.
I thought, yeah,
Season two. We're in
yep.
season seven now. So if anybody wants to hear Michelle's story, go back to season two, episode 52. It's the last episode of that season, and it's pretty awesome. So go check it out. But then I'm trying to remember. I think maybe in season four, you four or five. I'm trying to remember. But you've been around. We've been doing this a while. So there is no shortage of content. There is no shortage of, like, if you have a question about something, we probably addressed it on an episode, and you could probably watch that episode and go, "Oh, cool." Now I kind of get it.
And trigger warning, we always tend to pick the tough topics and say things that sound
Oh, I know.
very weird.
I know, it's so bizarre. I mean, it's almost like I've been desensitized to that because I don't get triggered with all this stuff anymore. But
Yeah.
but it's because I'm fully healthy and I've been through all of
Yeah.
this and learned all this stuff. So, but
It's
for all of you out there,
I know it's kind of weird that I can, talk about Jesus and then talk about channeling and then talk about consciousness and then
right?
talk
And
about
then, yeah,
all these things. So anyway, but hopefully
yeah.
it's
What are we
helpful.
diving into today?
Yep. So let's go, shall we?
Yes.
All right. So last episode, we started with a question
Uh-huh.
called "What is God?" And I found that very interesting. And we ended up talking, well, who, and, a little bit about what, and then it went into other things.
Yeah.
But we're still on that theme. And I think if we can have the audacity to ask, what is God? Not just who and do I have it right and is everybody wrong, blah, 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 blah. Like, what is the nature of God might be a palatable,
Okay.
um, more palatable question. We
Okay.
can start asking, what are we? What am I? And I think that's a fun
Hmm.
play on words or shift in words enough to get our mind thinking beyond our regular way of thinking. And God tends to like doing that
Yeah.
because when we're ingrained in our survival patterns mentally, they tend to just become automatic little loops. And we can't really see or get out of those patterns. And so, one of God's favorite ways to do that is questions. Usually, the questions are quite triggering.
Well, they're only triggering because we know and he knows that it's something that we struggle with, probably, or
Yeah.
something that's going to trigger us because we're
Yes.
humans and
Right.
that's how it works. So
Yeah. And it's like the questions are designed to expose stuff,
yeah,
and the stuff that needs exposed doesnn't like it. So today,
right.
on what is God and what are we, we're going to focus on light, as in
Okay.
light versus dark, right? So he
All
put
right.
on my heart last week sometime, just to start looking up all the names of God and all of the things he has described himself as. And the one that I felt to kind of pull on that thread was light. And that is something we've all talked about and we've all experienced, even on this show, as you've encountered
Yeah.
certain healings. It's like, yeah, there's light. That's what it feels like, is light. So let's discuss that, because there also are false lights, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what stood out to me as I began deep dive, I'm a nerd. So I
Yeah.
began deep diving into, all the passages about light. And, for me, I always want to look into the original language so I can read the Bible in its original language. And I can in Hebrew, and I'm working on Greek.
All
But
right.
our co-founder Stephen can actually read the entire New Testament in Greek, and I can in Hebrew. So
What?
together we're a good pair. We nerd out all the time, just so y'all know. Spent
All
more
right
time
then.
studying this stuff actually than I've been studying health and wellness, believe it or not. So anyway, my
Cool.
fascinating rabbit trail led me to a few passages that I had read but hadn't really stood out to me in this way before. And so
Okay.
God does describe himself as the light of the world.
Mhm.
People with near death experiences, people in New Age communities, like people all over the world describe a phenomenon when they encounter God, the creator of the universe, as light. And that
Mhm.
there is this golden light associated with him and their experiences. So it's been scattered all over the place of encountering these things. And so, as he describes himself as light, he also describes that his light illuminates everything that needs exposed. Like nothing remains hidden.
Mhm.
So, some of the people, maybe more in the new age culture, but just also personal development psychology, we're learning about terms like shadow, like our shadow and shadow work, which is
Yep.
really like my way to describe that. That's from Carl Jung. He's the father of analytical psychology. He has some great things. He has some other things. But he basically coined that term to say it's these things in our subconscious, these things that we're unaware of, these things that are repressed, suppressed, rejected, that we've deemed as bad, shameful, whatever. And instead of being able to work through it and be aware of it, we shove it all down and then it's still wreaking havoc. So looking at our shadow and bringing that conscious is a huge concept that is very important.
Yes.
And
And
I
that,
like,
so
yeah,
that's kind of like, just to put this in context for everybody out there that might not be familiar with the word shadow work,
uh,
would that be kind of like somebody coming to a counselor or coming to you for help or coming to and saying, God, I don't know why, but I just can't get this right in my life, or I can't just I don't know why I just have this constant lifelong hang up with fill in the blank. And
right,
then you go back and say, oh, well, it was because of abuse when you were 5 years old, or it was because of a, terrible relationship but that person has blocked it out to the point that they don't even remember that it happened sometimes, right? Like
right,
they blocked it out so thoroughly
yeah,
that bringing it back up is almost catastrophic, right? And so that's why it's shadow work, because you don't see the stuff in the shadows. it's
true,
it's hidden, right, until it's not,
yeah,
and then it's painful to work
yeah.
through. But yeah,
And
so
sometimes, that's a great description. I love how you have such a gift of bringing the concept to like, how do we connect with it? So thank you. And also your movie references. I'm sure by the end you'll have a few movie
I'm
references for
I've
us.
probably thought of and forgotten a couple already. Yeah.
That's so funny. So some people, they might even know like what happened to them. They might even assume there's a connection, but they can't see the thread. They can't see the actual mechanism that's at play, because when we actually see the mechanism that's happening, usually that's all that it takes for the mechanism to lose its grip on us. So that's
Yeah.
how I used to describe it a lot is, look, even if you think you know why you do something, if you can't stop it, then there's still something you don't know about it.
Yep.
When we figure out what that is and you're aware of what's going on, oftentimes that's enough to already start shifting the nervous system response and pattern around it. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be re-traumatizing to recognize these threads and connect these dots. That's sometimes a myth, but it's also not easy. This is the hardest work I've ever done. And I want to put a caveat too. I know I'm saying certain terms like shadow work, but that doesn't mean that what we're doing is like the shadow work that you could Google, because
Right. It's
there's
different.
such a
Yeah.
vast realm of that. So I'm not saying we're doing that. I am trying to describe certain concepts to make them relatable to people with different backgrounds. That's my primary
Right.
agenda as we share.
Well, and
So,
can I just throw one thing in there? Over the weekend, it's funny because over the last weekend, something happened, and it was what you're talking about is relevant to this, and I just popped into my head because once you work through it, it's almost like I want to forget it, like leave it back there, and it's we've okay, gone, done, till next time maybe. So, but I was in store shopping with the Catherine and Kasha, and I don't know why, but I get every once in a while the symptom of choice is pressure in my chest. It's like somebody is standing on my, like a 500-pound weight is on top of my chest, and so I feel it here, but
yep,
then I also feel it in my back,
yeah,
and I also feel it like radiating up into my face and my jaw and my head and my it's like, oh, what is that? And I know German new medicine is a tool you sometimes like to use, and so when I've looked it up, I think the gist of it was that it was something that there's something in life that you're having trouble support, like it's all the weight is on you, and
mm-hmm,
you're having trouble supporting it, and the face is like you don't know how to express what you're going through
mm-hmm,
for others to be able to help you. You
right,
just know you have this weight on you, and you
yep,
don't know how to get rid of it. And but the funny thing is, once I acknowledged it and got out of the car and started, and not just sitting with it, like acknowledged it, been like, okay, that's okay. Yeah, this is familiar. Yeah. And then started, by the time we were done at the next store, it was gone.
That's
So
so cool.
it doesn't stick around forever. It doesn't have to stick around. And
Mhm.
that is just one symptom from one thing.
Yep.
There have been so many over the last couple of years that is just so. My point is, this stuff is good and it
Yeah.
works and so yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
I just
Which is so cool. It's like when you know if we're just looking at it through like the brain-based cause,
right,
which has
or the
been
medical realm or the
right,
what,
which
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's been studied. Like CT scans prove that, MRIs prove that connection that there are with the German new medicine system for people who that's new for. And again, we don't do it the way they teach it. So it's
right.
anyway, but we do
Anyway,
use it as a teaching tool, which is so great because they've actually proven that the physical symptoms that are going on correspond to a lesion in the brain. And when we address the core root of the brain based cause, the brain lesion goes away as well as the physical symptom goes away.
it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so cool. And there's millions of documented cases with 100% accuracy and correlation between the brain scans, the MRIs, the physical symptoms, and the healing process. So that's
Yeah.
super, super cool.
Catherine even wanted me to, she even asked me, and then I know we got to get to the, I know you want,
It's fine. This is
but,
all
but
good.
I know, but Catherine was like out on the way home from that next store that I was walking around and I was fine and everything was cool because we got through that. So after we're on our way home, and of course I was a little tired, because it kind of wiped me out a little bit. But so I'm like, whew, she goes, I wonder if it would make sense because all of that is on the same side as so on the right side of my chest and on the right side of my face and all that. That's
Yeah,
where there's a shunt back there that I had put.
right.
That's what and so with all those surgeries, that's where all of it was all right here. And so
Yeah.
she's like, I wonder your neurosurgeon's not going to like this, but if we ask him to remove, because I've known one person that actually had the shunt removed,
Wow.
and he's fine, because he didn't need it anymore.
Wow.
I'm painfully curious to figure out if that would be an option for me. Like if I could, I've never known life without this bump on my head back here.
Yeah.
It would just be so fascinating to say, "Hey doc, can you test and see if this thing's even working anymore? Because if it's not, I'd like it to be gone. Like, could you
Wow.
just, we're not quite there yet, but it would be that was an
So
interesting
cool.
thing that she threw out, on the way
Wow.
home. I'm like, huh, never thought about that.
And that's such a cool testimony too, because it's like there's a time in your life that would have never ever been considered at all, ever. Like that would have been the
No,
most craziest thing you could ever say is like, can we just get this thing out? It's like my
yeah.
life depends on that and blah blah, like how
Oh
many
yeah,
surgeries.
yeah.
And so that's so beautiful. That's really interesting. That's very cool. Um, oh,
Anyway, yeah.
fun fact on
Oh,
German New Medicine,
okay.
which I've studied for God, probably the 16 years as well. Didn't
Yeah.
know how to utilize it. It came full circle. God brought it back after I learned nervous system regulation, and it's a
Hmm.
great tool to like work through flare-ups and figure out the brain-based cause. We have
Yes.
often taught about a soul map or the
Yep.
map of consciousness.
Hmm.
And for those who are new to that, it's essentially just a tool, a guide to help us know what state we're in, what state we're approaching life from. For example, are we approaching life from fear or love? Are we approaching life from survival or reason and intellect or a more spiritual kind of like value based place? Um, and so it's a tool that we help use to help people identify unconscious patterns and habits and
Hmm.
anything lower, um, like lower egoic flesh thing
Yeah.
that's running the show, so that we can bring in love, truth, regulation, light, whatever the words are,
Yep.
Christ into that place of us and
Love
into
it.
that relationship we have with whatever we're dealing with ourselves, with our body image, with our finances, with our parenting, with our marriages, like et cetera and so forth. So on the map, we have like a number range, and this has been studied in frequencies. So it's also they're associated with frequencies, and they actually did monitor different people in different states and look at the different frequencies that were being emitted from them. That's why there's statements like authenticity is 4 times more powerful than love. No, it's not. It's not the God love. I'm going to say it's the ego love.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so anyway, that's how there's statements like this, is because they've been studied. So we have like a scale of frequencies on some of our maps, just so people know, like how low vibrational is this, or how higher vibrational is this. And we teach that anything below truth, love, God is low. Like, we're not interested in anything but the Most High.
Right.
So we teach people how to distinguish that as well. Some of these words might not make sense to people yet, and that's okay. And they'll make sense to others, and that's okay too. So on this scale, German New Medicine is around the middle. So it's actually not very high, which is good for some people to know, because either you're totally into German New Medicine and it's totally revolutionary and you only want to work with a German New Medicine practitioner, and I completely get it, because it also brought me out of looking at health, wellness, my body from a survival point of view.
Yes.
Because a lot of the research and studies are on people who are in survival mode, sympathetic dominance in the nervous system, and they're being studied on those people by people in sympathetic dominance survival mode. The entire thing is about that. So the one of the things that helped me open my mind beyond what I knew, what I thought I knew as a functional medicine practitioner, was where are the studies of people who live in the parasympathetic?
Yes.
What do they need to eat? Do they need supplements? How fast does their body repair? Because I was seeing in myself and my clients things that totally contradicted everything I had learned about how the body works in nutrition school, in functional medicine training, and in my own experience. So, for example, I had serious allergies. Some caused anaphylactic reactions. Like my lips swelled and I had a hard time breathing. And like there was they were serious reactions, and tests proved that I had an autoimmune response. So it wasn't just like I'm a little sensitive to that, but I can eat it sometimes. It's like, no, my body will mount a full-blown attack on itself if I consume that food. And that's supposed to be permanent. And now I can eat all those foods fine, and my lab tests are clear. So obviously it's like, I've always thought to myself, I want to have good mentorship. Ever since I was a kid, I was like, I want to find the people that are emulating the kind of life I want to live, getting the results I want to get, and I want to do what they're doing, right?
Yes.
Study the people who are successful, learn from the ones who are not successful. That's one of Stephen's rules for living. So anyway.
Well, it's like you become you become who the 5 people you hang around the most is, right? That's like, it's what,
Yep.
All the things. It's true. It's not a myth. It's true.
No. And it is, we could go into so many ways, even mirror neurons in our brain, of how that's true.
Yeah.
So I always knew, I think it's my parents, thank you, for instilling that in me, like, follow good mentorship, be teachable and open to correction and all of that. So, hold on, we went on a rabbit trail. I have to get back. What was I saying?
You're asking the wrong guy.
That's so funny. Okay, hold on. Let me retrace. Follow the examples. That's a good one. Okay, German New Medicine is German New Medicine. So why that was so powerful for me is because it was producing these results, like we're talking about with allergies, that regular understanding medicine didn't teach. So with my food allergies, right? I'm told they're permanent.
Right.
I'm told that it takes 4 to 6 months for our body to purge. Like, if you don't consume the food, it will take 4 to 6 months for your immune system to stop producing antibodies. Antibodies are the thing that make you have allergies. So when you have allergies, that means you make antibodies to certain foods, okay? Or certain things like trees or pollens or whatever.
Sure.
So knowing this, 4 to 6 months for the immune system to stop. Well, I was able to reintroduce foods after 3 months of nervous system regulation. Actually, I cheated, so it was a little even before then, because I was eager to eat real food again. And I didn't react. And what's extraordinary about that is that's medically impossible. That's not what we're taught. But all the studies are from people in sympathetic dominance on people in sympathetic dominance, and their bodies aren't in the parasympathetic. So now we have to separate our research from, like, what are we studying? Is this how the body works, or is this how the body works in a dysregulated state? How does the body work in a regulated state? I'll tell you, it's totally different, and we can talk about it when we come back from the break.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's awesome. I know it's you know what I mean? I think I might start doing something different with some of my shows. I'll experiment with ours, because I really want to just get all this. You know, I love the sponsors we have, and I love talking about them, because I wouldn't be talking about them if I didn't think they were awesome. At the same time, I don't want to interrupt this conversation, so I feel like I should just get it all out at the beginning, and just be like, "Hey, everybody, this is everybody that we work with. All right, now let's talk to the guest." You know, so we'll work on that, everybody. It's all a work of progress anyway. So, but anyway, yeah, we'll be right back with Michelle in just a minute. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in just a minute. All right, okay, everybody. That I want to make this as quick as possible, because I want to get back to the conference, to the good stuff. So this is one thing I want to talk to you about, because, and I'm only talking to you about this because it's been incredibly successful for me. So if you saw at the beginning of the episode, it said live from NRG Studios, and it had the cool camera and the lightning and all the fun things. It's pretty awesome. If you are a networker, if you are a business owner, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are watching that are business owners. If you are a business owner, please check this group out. Every business owner should be networking. And this is the purest form of networking I have ever seen in my life. In fact, I'm a lifetime member with NRG now. I don't have any plans to leave this group, because it has been so impactful for me and my business. So if you are looking for referrals, this is the place to come. It is the source of never-ending referrals. And honestly, they've kind of ruined me for all of the networking groups. Honestly, I go to others now, and I'm like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Why are you doing this? You shouldn't be. That's like fluff. Why are we talking about that? NRG does it right. There's no fluff. You come, you get referrals, you go build your business. So if anybody has ever wondered if there is the source of never-ending referrals for their business, this is it right here. So scan the QR code before I take it away. Oh, there it goes. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is our nonprofit, which is called Hydro with Hope. Oops, that's not right. The button pusher didn't quite get that right. Is it that one? There it is. So that's our nonprofit. So that's where we have our journal for people that's walking through this crazy journey with hydrocephalus. If maybe they're still having brain surgeries, maybe they're having all those follow-ups with the doctor. This journal is instrumental in that. You can write everything down and then never have to wonder what you're going to say to the doctor again, because it's all written down in the journal. And when you show up to the appointment prepared, it's a breath of fresh air for everybody. So it just takes the stress away of going to those doctor visits after surgery. So I want to get that journal in the hands of every person with hydrocephalus in the country. So that takes money. That's what that QR code is for. That's a donation link. You can donate monthly on a regular basis. You can donate once, just a one-time donation. We appreciate every single one of them, whether it's monthly or one time. So thank you very much in advance. And my wife and I have been through a lot in the last 10 or 12 years regarding this condition, and so we have a lot to say and we have a lot to share, with audiences. And so we love to speak in front of conferences and in front of different places. I mean, we've done this internationally already. Like we've been around, we know what we want to say, and we know that it might be controversial too, but sometimes it's what you got to hear. So if you need somebody to talk about this at your conference or at your event, I would love to talk to you. So I put that email up earlier. You know what? There it is again. Just email me there and let me know. So, all right, I'm gonna bring Michelle back. Let's get this. Let's keep going here. All right. Where are we going from here?
Yay.
Wait.
Am I muted?
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Now, where are we going from here?
Awesome.
Oh my goodness.
So, well, this is new. We're on a new platform. We're
I
figuring
know,
it
I
out,
know, I know.
and the buttons aren't working on my end. So, anyway, Jeff is doing a fantastic
We're
job.
we're working
Um,
through it, man. It's all good.
what we need to talk about German new medicine, which will go to other topics. That's just the example we're looking at.
Mhm.
Is that in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty low conscious.
Okay.
It's pretty low in its
Okay.
scale of where it's coming from. Sometimes it's like hard to find the words to describe this in a way that people will get. So
And I'll
it's
work on finding that map of consciousness and figure out how to put it on here to display it. I haven't figured all that out yet
we
either.
will, and there's other ones. If you actually go, we talk about it in certain seasons.
There's
Yep,
plenty of past episodes we've talked about it.
and
So
y'all can even say scan the QR code and just be like, "Hey, I just want to see the map." Like,
I think there's even an episode called The Map of Consciousness.
yeah,
Like literally, I think we've talked about it so much that you could
yep.
find it in many of them. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
go
it's
check
kind
it
of
out.
like, shame's at the bottom, and then it's like, basically it's like God consciousness is at the top.
Yep.
Love.
Love.
So,
Yep.
um the reason why German new medicine is so revolutionary to some people is because it's not in the survival spectrum. It's not in the fear-based spectrum
Yep.
of things. So, according to the way we typically look at things, it's completely revolutionary. It's very triggering for some people because it's not fear based. And it actually has proven how the body is designed so intelligently and how illness and symptoms are actually the body attempting a healing process where whatever we encountered, the body had to create a survival program to survive.
Yep.
And when it no longer needs that or perceives it no longer needs that, it attempts to heal itself from that survival program because there's real cellular changes that take place when we're in survival. Of course, this is obvious. We've known this for so long. And there's real cellular changes that take place coming out of survival into a regulated state. And so it basically takes like the understanding of the nervous system and the brain and how it controls everything in the body and how the body works and how it's all connected. And it's shown through brain scans, MRIs, like tons of medical testing and different things, tracking over time, millions of cases, that these processes are the same. So it's kind of like it's very not user friendly. So if you try to go, it might be very confusing if you just try to like research it and understand it. But we have a
Yeah.
very simple way of applying it. But the concepts I want to convey right now is that when you understand that the body isn't broken and it's doing something by design and it's communicating something that we can actually just understand, it doesn't have to be confusing,
Right.
complicated, or unclear.
Yes.
It's revolutionary because you're like, oh my gosh, I know exactly why I got sick. I know exactly what my nervous system was doing 3 to 6 months prior to that becoming a chronic issue where my body wasn't healing itself. I know exactly why my symptoms came. If they went away and came back, I know exactly why they went away and came back. Like I
Hmm.
completely understand. And now I know what to do for myself. That
Yeah.
is revolutionary. Now, what's interesting to note is that it's actually just mid grade on the soul map. It's barely out of survival mode, which is totally transformative to bringing people out of this. But it's just the beginning to where they could go. Because when we are still viewing things through a lens of oh man, this is gonna okay. All right. Okay, when we're still viewing things through a lens of cause and effect, we can still
Ooh.
come about it in a victim paradigm. And I'm not saying there's not cause and effect. That would be a rabbit
Sure.
hole for a whole nother conversation. That's all I can say about that right now. But there's something far beyond that where we really do see how everything is working for our good and we really can perceive what is just the highest road to take the highest way to navigate a situation at any point in time. And when we're experiencing that and synchronicities and coincidences just being totally lined up with his timetable, being able to have our intuitive gifts completely fully functioning, like when we're living there, German New Medicine looks like child's play. So the reason why I'm saying that is because depending where you are on your soul journey,
Right.
which is why we're kind of considered soul midwives sometimes, is like depending on where you are, that could be a beautiful stepping stone. Depending on where you are, that could be way too much of a leap for you out of what you currently know. Like it'll just be too, it'll sound too crazy that you can't really even use it because you have
Right.
no reference points. Other people that are higher up and closer to that, it's like, oh my gosh, this is everything I've been looking for. And you know what? It's working. Now I got off all my supplements. Now I'm applying it. Now it's working. For people that have been there for a while and are outgrowing it, it might be time to let it go. That's not you, Jeff. It's still such a great tool for you.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just saying, we want to be thinking beyond like, ooh, there's a system that is the right way. It's like, where are we on our path with God and our journey in life and in maturing and in being healthy? Where are we growing and what are the next steps? And are we consistently asking that? So back to what is God and what are we? Um, okay. In Ephesians, there's a passage that really stood out to me.
Okay.
And what it says is that you were darkness and now you are light in the Lord. Be ye children of light.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it says. Now, in the Greek, it's very interesting because so that the language in English, right? It's like that's an identity.
Right.
What do you mean you were darkness? That's not how we typically think about things.
Yeah, you weren't in darkness, you were darkness. That's different.
Exactly.
That's a yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Greek does say you were darkness, and there's a very distinct difference, and it's even in the same passage when it says, but now you are light in the Lord. The Greek words of like in the Lord is not used when it's saying you were darkness. It's saying, no, you literally were darkness and now you literally are light, as though that is you, an identity.
Nice.
And that you're in light in the Lord, be children of light. So it's very fascinating when we actually bring scripture to life in its original context, not with our Western way of thinking, but from understanding culture and understanding context and understanding the language. And so that's a passion of
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
So what you focus on, you become. I think we talked about in last episode, there's a passage in Isaiah that says, the Lord keeps in perfect peace, shalom, shalom,
Mm-hmm.
those whose mind is fixed on him. Because he trusts in you. So trust
Yeah.
in the Lord. Now, language might be challenging for some people, especially if they don't consider themselves religious. So that's fine. I also don't consider myself religious. We could go down a big,
No, that's a
long
whole nother rabbit hole.
rabbit trail of
Yeah,
that.
that's why I don't tell people I'm a Christian. I tell them I'm a Jesus follower because
Right.
Christian has a lot of interpretation.
It
Jesus
does.
follower is a little more clear.
It
So,
is. And you know what? Even for some people, the word Jesus is not clear because there's so much trauma around that. And there's a lot of distortion around who Jesus was.
that's
I'm
true.
actually studying in John. There was distortion back then. Who does Jesus say he is? Who do they think he was? Blah, 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 blah.
Right,
And
right,
so Jesus, not the Roman religious portrayal of that person,
right.
but like the embodiment of love. Right?
Yes.
That's why I'm saying, what is God? And also,
Right.
what are you? And so, what we focus on is what we become. So, when I choose to focus on fear and my experience through fear, fear actually consumes me. I
Yes.
become fear. If I am a vessel, a temple, right? It's what do I allow in my house? What am I a temple of? A temple of pagan things, a temple of destruction, a temple of, it's like if I'm a tree, what fruit do I bear? Do I bear
Yes.
the fruits of the spirit or the fruits of the flesh? For people who that language doesn't work, it's essentially, am I in egoic consciousness, right? Or am I in a higher consciousness state? Doesn't all this language is pointing to the same thing. So here beyond the words. what we focus on matters. And we aren't taught the muscles of focus. We think we're focusing, but we're really choosing habitual patterns of thought that
Hmm.
is generated more automatically that we're not realizing isn't us. So we have identities actually in all of the levels on the soul map. And when people speak it, they speak it as I'm afraid. And it's like, well, what said that? Was it the level of fear, or was it the level of anger? Was it the level of pride, or was it the level of shame? Or
Right.
is that the Holy Spirit speaking through you? Or is that Christ speaking through you? Or is that love speaking through you? Or is that light speaking through you? Or is that darkness speaking through you? It doesn't matter what language we use.
Yeah.
If you start paying attention and observing what comes out of your mouth and what you're focused on, and just simply today, it's like, is this darkness or is this light? Is this fear or is this love? Or for me now, it's like, is this love or is this anything else? Because
Well,
I'm
it's like,
only
yeah, it's like, I know you out there don't know this, but because we didn't record it, I wish we could, I wish we would have actually. Before we recorded the last show that we did together, I was, you recognized that I needed some work, a little bit of, so you're like, okay, we're gonna talk to Jesus for a few, and we're gonna work this out, and so it was like, okay, listen, shh, listen. It was like, no, no, shh. And so we did, and it was like, okay, what is he actually saying? Oh, okay, oh, that's what he said. Okay, so what is that? What are you hearing that's contradicting that, right? Like, because he's saying this, but you're hearing this. Is
yeah,
that of him? No. Okay, well, bye. Okay, what's he saying next? What are you hearing? Is that of him? No, that's not of love. Okay, bye. Kick it
yeah,
out of there. And so that was an amazingly valuable exercise to go through. In fact, I told Catherine after we got done recording that episode, I was like, that was probably the coolest episode I've recorded in Michelle in a year. Like that was like with her, that was because I was properly grounded and properly connected and properly, and listening in the right way. So it makes a difference. It makes a
it
big
does.
difference.
And I
So
love that you shared that. And also, it's like, and that's my experience. It's like
yeah.
everyone that does this describes the experience in very similar ways, though they might use different wording, though they might be from different backgrounds,
Hmm.
different belief systems, right? But they are having these same encounters and experiences with the Most High, love, God, Jesus. And so it really is that simple. And it's a decision. Most of this comes down to choice.
Hmm.
You are what you choose to become, and you're
Totally.
not stuck that way. That's a lie. But we're helping you become aware of where your choice is, because most people are so steeped in darkness. Let's just use that language for a while, right? They're
Yeah.
so steeped in darkness, they become that, don't know it, don't want to be that. They don't know how to get out of it, and they just think it's the way it is. And no matter what they try to get out, they're not getting out. But what they're not realizing is their focus is on still the darkness somehow. It's just like getting out of it, or it's like wishful thinking, or like I'm
Right.
praying so hard, but nothing's happening. But what you're describing is actually the skill set. How do we listen and tune into his voice? My sheep know my voice.
Hmm.
How do we learn his voice, and how do we listen? And if he is light, just the act of listening is gonna, and us reaching and listening is gonna expose
Hmm.
anything that's in our way. So what most
Right.
people get discouraged by is they go to pray, they go to listen, and everything else shows up.
Of
Well,
course it
it's
does.
because a big flashlight just got shown, and it's like, ah, you're exposing me. But that's not where to stop. That doesn't mean it's not working. It actually means it is working,
That's right.
because the first thing that's going to be exposed is everything that's actually there in the shadows, and then you can choose to let it go. You
Yes.
can just tell it to go. I don't want you here. I have agency. I don't want you here. And then receive his love, receive the most high love, the highest vibration of love, not egoic love, like divine, the essence of creation, love and light, right? receive that in those places where those things were, and then listen again. And you'll notice that it starts shifting. What you hear, it's like people are working up the map. They've
Yep.
cleared the lower levels. So then they think the next thing they hear is like some divine revelation. It's like, this is like a couple notches above where you were. Do you want to keep that, or do you want to go for the highest, right?
Right.
So it's like, just keep clearing and keep listening. And that process, that's like it.
Yeah.
It's about listening, it's about receiving love, and it's about grounding that into you, receiving, anchoring it. So it's like us anchoring into him anchoring us, anchoring him into us, right? And what's so
Yeah.
cool is there's scriptures that say it's no longer I who live, but Christ in me. So all those things of the flesh, of the ego, of these lower levels of darkness have been removed. And it is him that's remaining. It is light that's remaining. It's the highest vibration of love that's remaining, with nothing lower vibrational. It's like we're basically attuning to the highest vibration of love,
Yep.
called God, called Jesus, and having that be what lives in me. So the old
Yes.
has to die. It really, and it feels like it's dying because it's being evicted. It's like, no, you don't get to live in me. You don't get to feed off me. You don't get to speak through me. You don't get to think through me. You don't get to move my body. I'm not doing that anymore. And as soon as there's another scripture that says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. So we all like,
Right.
right, in religion, we have these images that are conjured when we hear these scriptures, but we're not actually recognizing the tangible reality of what those are pointing to. What
Right.
we're teaching, it's like pray without ceasing, take every thought captive. Those aren't concepts. That's an actual skill set that you can acquire, so that literally every thought you think is brought into obedience with the highest vibration of love. And our brains, that are like a receiver, like an antenna,
Hmm.
right, are
Yeah.
only tuned in to that vibration, because we
Exactly.
receive tons of stuff from radio waves, literally, to other people's thoughts, right? Like
Oh yeah.
to spiritual beings. And we think that it's just us having thoughts, or us having urges, or us having emotions. We're not realizing that as a receiver, we are picking up on so much,
Yeah.
and we are actually the choice. God says, I put before you blessing and a curse, like life and death, choose life. We are the choice point between light and dark.
Yes.
And what we focus on and what we choose to allow to come out of our mouth, to allow to live in our thoughts, to allow to move our body, to allow to be in our physical being, in our tissues, in our cells, in our DNA. Like that choice point, one little choice at a time, one little moment at a time,
That's right.
that's what we're choosing. Do we choose love, or do we choose fear? That's what's being anchored. And so many people then in the lower levels in survival mode thinks, I have to fix this, I have to change this, I have to escape this. And that's actually not true. If we just start with focusing on what we speak and saying, I'm only going to speak light, I'm
Yes.
only going to speak love, I'm going to monitor everything that comes out of my mouth and ask myself, where did that come from? Is that the voice of my narcissistic father, or is that the voice of a loving God? Like,
Right.
that's where we choose, and that's where we anchor it. And again, last thing I'll say, all you have to do is listen, receive, and then anchor in what you receive in the
Yes.
highest love. There's nothing else to do. It's actually that simple. And that's what I think God is wanting to bring us back to, is the simplicity of what he's trying to do in healing us, in saving us, in bringing us out of darkness into light. And it's just that
That's
simple.
right. Love it. And I feel like we could go for another hour. I feel like
I
we
know.
should have done we should do 2 hours for some of these. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But we get to do it again. We'll get to pick up in June. So we'll, because we're already in late May. So we'll pick up the conversation with this in June, and go from there, because there's a lot here. And I know, and my brain's kind of melted already. So
I know.
so I can't imagine. I mean, there's everybody out there is probably going, "Oh man, I don't know what just happened." So it's all good stuff, but we told you this was crazy. This is new, different stuff. It always is when we're talking with Michelle. So buckle up for next time, everybody. Join us for our next show, which will be on. Let me see, May. Where are we here? This is May 19th. So the next one will be May 2nd or June 2nd. I'm sorry, June 2nd will be our next show. So join us then with another show with Michelle, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for being here, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Thank you.